Are you free? Have you felt genuine freedom? Can you remember what it felt like to do what you wanted to do? Like when you were a child, to be free, to not be tied to anything, but simply to just be. In this video, we're going to talk about what true freedom is and a method to help you remember this freedom. Because freedom is totally in you. What's happened is that you've been conditioned to forget this freedom. The way society is programmed is in a big way programmed for you to lose your empowerment and your freedom of choice. It programs you, it tells you what you should like, what you shouldn't like, what's acceptable, how you could act with certain people, how you could act in a classroom, in a school classroom. It even tells you that. It tells you that whoever's older than you is automatically at a place that's above you, when in fact we are all one and no one is better, no one is worse than the other. Just because someone's older than you does not mean necessarily that they are more intelligent than you, more smart than you, or just better than you, or should be respected. Respect should never be demanded just because of age. In fact, respect, at least in my case, I never demand it from people. I think respect is something that just flows out when you're naturally good. People just sense it and they automatically give it to you. Now, if you are awakened, if you are in that path, if you are a person who is a seeker, or maybe you could say you're a star seed, a light being, someone who has incarnated to help with the Great Awakening, then you'll come to notice that the respect just flourishes from people. For some reason, they feel more soothed when you are in their presence. They feel more calm, and that has to do with your energy. Even if you may not be aware of this energy, some people really enjoy being with you because you do hold this beautiful energy. This energy that helps awaken people, this energy that's a flame that kindles other flames. A global awakening, it's happening right now. But freedom. What is true freedom? How can we remember this true freedom? What was it when we were little that made us feel this freedom? Well, it wasn't necessarily anything, but it was a state of mind, a state of being, better said. A state in which you knew that you came here to explore different things, to explore your impulses, to do what you wanted to do here. And you knew that it was going to be a diverse place, but that wasn't bad. You were excited for this because of the diversity. You knew that you were going to be able to distinguish what it was that you did want to do in this life. And if it was that you didn't enjoy a certain activity or something, you knew that you weren't going to go with it, but you weren't in the mindset that society might have programmed you right now, that says, oh, if I don't like it, then I don't like it, and I have to say with all my being, no, I don't like it, and like kind of go against that current. But no, life is a buffet. If you're in a buffet, say it's a Chinese buffet, if you don't like sushi, even though I love sushi, if you don't like sushi, you just don't pick sushi. And it doesn't bother anyone else necessarily. You just don't pick it, and you don't judge it either. It's just not your preference. So that's kind of how diversity works in life. If it's not your your preference, my bad. If it's not your preference, you don't really have to say no, I don't like it to the world, but just go somewhere else. And usually when that's the case, people see that you react that way in a non-attached way, and it's really attractive because they know that this is what they are. At the essence of who you are non-attached. Why are you non-attached? Because you know you are everything. Your source is infinite. So when you're coming from a place of abundance, you could say a buffet again, when you have a variety of food choices, you're not going to feel hurt if you don't get a certain food choice, because you know that there is an abundance of food there, and that doesn't shake you. Going back to the societal programming happens because it tricks you into believing in the illusion of fear. Through fear, people, society, culture can dominate you. Not so much dominate you, but make you think in certain ways. So let's talk about the buffet. If it was in the circumstance of the buffet, maybe a way that someone could make you come into this mindset is tricking you into thinking that it's a shortage, that there is a shortage of food, that for some reason this buffet you could only get certain things and a certain quality. They could be like, you could just get one plate. All of a sudden that changes things a lot. Now if you do want to try and explore that sushi and you don't like it and you put a lot of it in your plate, it's going to hurt. But it's going to hurt more than anything because of the fear that was put in it, the shortage mindset that you were given, that you were programmed. It's going to hurt when you don't get a lot, because remembering who you are and the essence of who you are is that you're infinitely abundant. You have everything. So anything less than everything will feel hurtful. Now, I don't mean to say that you deserve everything, that everything should automatically just come to you. You should have all the money in the world. That's not where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a surrendered state, a deep knowing that you are one with everything, a deep knowing that if it is that you do want something, that you desire something, you can have it. A gentle way, a non-attached way, a way of, hey, if I get sushi today, that would be tasty. Wouldn't it be nice if I had sushi? But if I didn't, it's okay. I'm grateful of so many other things, and I know, I have a deep knowing that I'll receive something. Going back to the you being infinite abundance, you being everything. Fear diminishes a lot when you remember that you are connected to everything and that you are everything. Because you realize that shortage of money, shortage of food, shortage of whatever is ultimately an illusion. That you have the tools in you, that at the essence of who you are, you have all that it is that you do want. And you are already complete. Part of the programming has to do with telling you that you are not complete and that something external will complete you. That's not the case. You are already complete. You have been complete. Think of life, or think of your existence as this. There was a sun like the star. It contained everything. Now this sun, it kind of burst, and when it burst, it expanded itself. It spread itself out. You were a spark of that sun, so inherently you have all the qualities that the sun had. Now, the sun, the qualities that it had was everything, because it was everything. So inherently in you, you contain everything. You have the blueprint of everything, and you will always be connected to everything and everyone. So when you start realizing this, you know that you are worthy, that you can have what you want to have because it's been part of your blueprint. It's your divine right, it's your royal right. When you realize who you really are, you feel a lot of freedom. You feel a lot less fear. Fear, what it really comes down to, fear, another way of looking at it, is whenever you feel fear, it's because there's an aspect, a perspective in you of how you are looking at a situation that is against how you could say your inner being is looking at it, how God is looking at it, how the deepest in you is looking at that. Going back to the buffet, if you go to a buffet and for some reason someone makes you believe that you can only get one plate, the fear that you're feeling is you kind of going against what your inner being knows. Your inner being knows you're infinitely abundant. It even knows if for some reason you're in a situation where you can only get one plate, that doesn't diminish your worth. That doesn't diminish your abundance. It's just an experience. Now this brings me to my next point. Looking at life in a neutral way. Looking at situations in general in a neutral way. The reason you feel pain for something is because your desire, like the Buddha said, your desire is really amped up. When you amped up your desire a lot, and you kind of view things in a needy way, I have to have this new car, I have to have this relationship, when you start using those words as have, and you feel it, that's when you're gonna feel pain. But if you're more surrendered, more gentle, wouldn't it be nice if I had this relationship? Wouldn't it be nice if I ate a delicious lobster tonight? Wouldn't it be nice? When you're in this mindset, in this perspective of being non-attached, being neutral, you will feel this peace, you will feel this freedom. What I think of is kind of like a tire for some reason. A tire, when it's rotating at its fastest velocity, it looks like if it's still. If a tire is rotating slowly, you could see it. The more it goes, the more constant it gets, and then it reaches a point where it just looks constant. It looks still. So being neutral is kind of reaching this stillness. You're in a state where things are as they are. And when things are as they are, you remember the essence of who you are. And you remember that things are okay as they are. You are like the wheel, you are still. You are still, yet you are moving. The tire is still rotating, you're still going places, you're still expanding, but you are still. It's a paradox. But neutrality will really, really help you find that peace, help you feel that freedom, help you explore too. Instead of being kind of fearful that you should try something out or be stuck to an identity that you have, you're more neutral about it. You're like, okay, I will explore this. And you'll explore it when you feel that you should explore it. Now, what I'm getting at is that when you are aligned, you could say, in a not so much a peaceful state, but an aligned state. When you are aligned, when you are feeling good, when you are in your own power, that's probably a better way of putting it. When you are in your own power and you get an impulse to do something, follow that impulse. Usually it will lead to something good. Now you may be saying, but it's really hard for me to know if an impulse is a good thing or a bad thing. Like, how do I know? It's kind of hard. I'm not used to this alignment thing. What should I do? Something that always helps is meditation. Take 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Sit in a room, preferably dark, and just breathe. If not, just observe. Observe what chatter goes on in you, but don't identify with you. Don't identify with it. Observe what's going on. Observe your heartbeat. Just observe. Now when you come to this observation, you start coming back to that higher self, that higher you. And you get more used to analyzing yourself and also realizing when something is truly you, your higher you, or your lower you. What will let you know if it's your higher you or your lower you? Does it feel good or does it feel bad? It gets that simple. If something feels bad, if your gut feeling tells you that something feels bad, usually it's probably going to be something bad. If it's something good, then it's probably going to be good. But like I said, first you try to find that alignment, because the ego, your lower self, can trick you. It could be like, no, I know this is not good for me, but it might be something good for you actually. But since you're so used to certain habits and patterns, it might be hard to break it. Because when you're stuck in a certain habit, whatever is different than that habit will feel scary because it's the unknown. The lower self is scared of the unknown. The higher self accepts the unknown and goes with the unknown because it knows that what you are is eternal expansion. So it even starts getting excited of the unknown. It is said that to reach high states of enlightenment, to have those experiences, you have to be comfortable with the unknown. Sometimes during your meditations or whatever profound experience you're having, there will come a feeling of uncertainty, of the unknown coming in. You might get certain sensations that are just really different than anything you felt before. That's where acceptance and letting go come into play. You let go and you accept, you surrender, and you trust the universe. But remember, you are freedom. Key points to remember from this video is, if it feels good, if I'm aligned, then it's probably a good impulse. If I'm not aligned, say if I've had a rough day and I kind of think of doing something or a certain action and only you know what it is for you, it may not be so empowering for you. Think of things that way. Is it empowering me or is it kind of not helping me out? That will help a lot. Viewing things more neutrally, being okay with things happening and not happening, and remembering that everything is always working out for you. A negative experience is full of teaching if you are willing to learn from it. And the beautiful part of this is that you could have had this negative experience, you could have messed up even 5 years ago, but vibration energy is stamped forever. So you could still learn the lesson from it 5 years after. All time is simultaneous. Which is really pretty too. That there really is a perfect rhythm going on in the universe. It may not be what society has made you thought that it is, but there is an inherent perfect rhythm. And it has a lot to do with paradoxes. The highest truths are paradoxes. Let go of thinking with your mind. Start feeling with your heart. And start letting the answers come in ways that aren't necessarily words of feeling. You have all the answers in you. You truly do. Trust yourself. And trust the universe. It will bring them to you. It may bring them to you in a conversation you hear, in a book that's recommended to you, infinite ways. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Thank you. I appreciate each and every one of you guys.